Imagine waking before the sun, your body stiff from the cold earth beneath you, the weight of iron strapped to your chest, and the knowledge that today, like yesterday, and tomorrow, will be consumed by marching, digging, and enduring. This was the rhythm of life for a Roman legionary, and it is a rhythm few of us today would survive. Welcome to this journey into the unforgiving world of Rome's armies. In this exploration, we will walk slowly through the daily patterns of a soldier's life. We will pause to observe the harsh realities they faced, and wander among the remnants of their existence that still echo through time. In the end, we will draw a stark contrast between the soldier in the field and the modern individual, separated by millennia, yet bound by the universal struggle for survival. Let us begin, not with the clash of swords or the thunder of battle, but with the softer, slower cadence of a single day in the life of a Roman soldier. The day begins before dawn. You stir on the hard ground, wrapped in a thin blanket, your body aching from yesterday's march. Around you, the camp is alive with the muffled sounds of men rising, the scrape of sandals against earth, the quiet crackle of a dying fire. The air is cold and damp, and the smell of smoke and sweat lingers from the night. A Roman soldier's burden was not only his sword and shield. Strapped across your back is a pack that could weigh as much as 25 kilograms. Inside it are tools for digging, stakes for fortifications, a cloak, cooking pots, and a ration of bread and dried meat. The legionary carried not only the instruments of war, but the tools of survival. This weight, constant and unyielding, would be your companion through every step, every hill, and every battle. The day's rhythm is simple, and it is exhausting. Marching could last for hours, sometimes covering 20 miles under the weight of iron and leather. Each footstep raises dust that coats your skin and stings your eyes. The sandals, sturdy but thin, offer little protection, and blisters become constant companions. The relentless pace, set by the centurions, allows for no weakness, no faltering. To fall behind is to risk being left behind, vulnerable in hostile territory. When the march ends, there is no rest. Every evening, a camp must be built. Trenches are dug, walls are raised with wooden stakes, and guard posts are set. Each soldier has his task, and there is no shirking, for order is the foundation of Rome's might. Your hands already raw from the march now blister anew as you swing a shovel or heft heavy timbers. The work continues until the fortress rises from the earth, a temporary haven in a world of constant threat. Meals are plain and repetitive. A soldier might eat bread baked from coarse grain, softened in water, with a handful of cheese or beans, if supplies allow. Wine diluted with water dulls the thirst, and sometimes a strip of dried pork offers a rare treat. The food is filling, but never abundant. The monotony of the diet wears on you, a constant reminder of the luxuries left behind in civilian life. At night, the camp settles. The flicker of torches glows against the walls, and men gather quietly in small groups, mending gear or sharing stories. Sleep comes on the ground, the blanket pulled tight against the chill, with the knowledge that at any moment, the watch could call your name for guard duty. The night brings its own challenges. The cold that seeps into your bones, the constant alertness required even in rest, the distant howls of unknown beasts, or the whispers of potential enemies. This was the rhythm of their days, a life of ceaseless motion, unbroken discipline, and endurance that wore on body and spirit alike. It is difficult to imagine yourself within it, and harder still to believe you could last more than a single day. The physical demands alone would break most modern individuals, accustomed to comfort and convenience. But it was not just the body that was tested. The mental strain of constant vigilance, the isolation from family and home, and the ever-present specter of violent death created a psychological burden few today could bear. The Roman legionary lived with the knowledge that each day could be his last, that his life was expendable in the grand machinations of empire. As we reflect on this glimpse into the past, we are struck by the immense gulf between their world and ours. The comforts we take for granted, soft beds, varied diets, instant communication were unimaginable luxuries to these men of iron and discipline. Their strength was forged not in gyms or on sports fields, but in the crucible of necessity and duty. In the end, we are left with a profound respect for these ancient warriors, and a humbling realization of our own limitations. The Roman legion was not just an army, it was a way of life, a testament to human endurance and the power of collective will. It is a reminder that the strength of civilizations is built not on the marble columns of the Senate, but on the weary shoulders of those who march, build, and stand guard in the farthest reaches of empire. From the harsh realities of a soldier's life, we turn now to the brutal world of the Roman legion. Its name strikes fear and awe in history, but for those who served within its ranks, it was not merely a military unit, it was a crucible of survival, where every day tested the limits of human endurance and will. Imagine yourself among the legionaries in the heart of the Roman Empire. During the tumultuous first century of the Common Era, the landscapes are unforgiving, scorching deserts, treacherous mountain passes, and endless stretches of hostile territory. The men march because Rome demands it, and their purpose is to expand and defend the empire's vast borders. The Roman legion was renowned for its discipline and efficiency. It demanded unwavering commitment from its soldiers. Historical accounts, often written by distant commanders, describe grand victories and strategic brilliance. Yet within those words, we glimpse the harsh reality. The grueling training that pushed men to their physical limits, the constant vigilance against ambush in unfamiliar lands, the backbreaking labor of constructing fortifications and roads in terrain that seemed to defy human effort. Life in the Legion was a test of endurance. Each day began before dawn, with the blare of trumpets jolting men from fitful sleep. The weight of armor and weapons became a constant companion, a burden carried through blistering heat and numbing cold. Rations were often meager, sometimes nothing more than coarse bread and sour wine. Disease spread quickly in crowded camps, and minor wounds could turn fatal without proper care. Yet, amidst the hardship, there was a sense of purpose. The Legion was more than a fighting force. It was a brotherhood forged in adversity. Veterans guided recruits, sharing hard-earned wisdom that could mean the difference between life and death. In the face of overwhelming odds, men found strength in the shield wall, trusting their lives to the comrades at their sides. One episode stands out in the annals of Legion history. During the Jewish revolt of 66 AD, the 10th Legion found itself besieged in Jerusalem. Cut off from supplies and reinforcements, the men faced starvation and constant assault. Lesser units might have crumbled, but the Legion's training and esprit de corps held firm. They rationed what little food remained, repelled wave after wave of attacks, and ultimately broke the siege through a daring counterattack. In these campaigns, countless lives were cut short. By enemy blades, by disease, by the unrelenting toll of march and battle. Official records may glorify the victories, but the true cost is etched in forgotten graves and shattered families left behind. The names of most legionaries are lost to time, though their sacrifices built and maintained an empire that shaped the course of history. As each new day dawned on the frontiers of Rome, the legionary rose to face it, to train, to build, to fight, and often, simply to survive another day. The rhythm of their lives was inseparable from the pulse of Rome's imperial ambitions. The Legion demanded more than just physical strength. Mental fortitude was equally crucial. Homesickness could be as deadly as any enemy weapon, sapping morale and resolve. Legionaries spent years, sometimes decades, far from their families and familiar lands. Letters from home were rare treasures, often arriving months late, sometimes bearing news of loss and change that the soldier was powerless to effect. Discipline was harsh and unforgiving. Minor infractions could result in reduced rations or extra duties. More serious offenses might lead to decimation. The execution of every 10th man in a unit as a brutal reminder of the consequences of failure, yet this iron discipline was what allowed the Legion to function as a cohesive unit in the chaos of battle, to stand firm when every instinct screamed for flight. The tools of a legionary's trade were themselves a daily challenge. The pilum, the gladius, the scutum, each required skill and strength to wield effectively. Hours of daily training honed these skills, but also wore down the body. The weight of a full kit could exceed 60 pounds, a burden carried 4 miles each day. Every piece of equipment had to be maintained, cleaned, and repaired, often with limited resources in hostile environments. As darkness fell each night, exhausted men sought what rest they could find. Some found solace in camaraderie, sharing stories of home or dreams of glory. Others turned to the gods, offering quiet prayers for protection and victory. But for many, sleep was elusive, haunted by memories of fallen comrades and the knowledge that tomorrow could bring their own end. The life of a Roman legionary was one of constant challenge and sacrifice. It demanded everything a person had to give, and often took more. Yet for those who survived, who pushed through the daily trials and emerged victorious, there was a pride that transcended the hardships. They were the backbone of Rome's power, the shield that guarded civilization against chaos. In the rhythm of their days, in the sweat and blood they shed, the legacy of Rome was forged. From the harsh realities of Caesar's campaigns, we now turn our attention to the physical remnants left behind by the Roman legions. Though these soldiers marched tirelessly across vast territories, their camps and fortifications have preserved fragments of a world that continues to speak to us across the millennia. One such testament to Roman military life is the fort. Nestled near Hadrian's Wall in the far reaches of northern Britain, here the damp soil has acted as a time capsule, preserving what would normally be lost to the ages. Leather sandals, wooden writing tablets, and scraps of everyday items. Each artifact serves as a whispered message from nearly 2,000 years past, offering glimpses into the daily lives of those who served in the legions. Picture yourself walking slowly through the ruins of Vindolanda. Low stone walls emerge from the grass, outlining the barracks where legionaries once slept side by side in cramped quarters. Scattered throughout the site, archaeologists have unearthed dozens of sandals in various sizes. The smallest pairs, belonging to children, remind us that these forts were not solely military installations, but also home to families, merchants, and servants who supported the legion's operations. Perhaps the most extraordinary discoveries at Vindolanda are the wooden writing tablets. As thin as modern postcards, their ink still legible after centuries buried in the earth. These tablets don't recount grand battles or military strategies, but instead reveal the mundane aspects of a legionary's life. Requests for warm socks to combat the bitter British cold, invitations to celebrate birthdays, and complaints about inadequate supplies. One soldier writes of his struggles with the harsh climate, while another laments the absence of comforts from his distant home. These fragile wooden records allow us to hear the daily rhythm of life in a Roman legion, the very cadence we might have imagined, now confirmed by the words of those who lived it. The story of Roman military life extends far beyond Vindolanda and Masada, perched high above the Judean desert. Archaeologists have uncovered the remains of siege camps that once encircled the formidable hilltop fortress. These camps paint a picture of the grueling conditions faced by legionaries tasked with subduing a determined enemy in an unforgiving landscape. Along the Danube frontier, the ruins of Carnuntum reveal elaborate bathhouses, demonstrating that even in the empire's distant provinces, soldiers clung to familiar routines of bathing and socializing. These structures served not only for hygiene but as centers of community life, where men could momentarily escape the rigors of military discipline. In Mainz, Germany, altars left behind by legionaries offer insight into their spiritual lives. Inscriptions speak of prayers for safety on treacherous campaigns and gratitude for surviving battles. These silent stone witnesses remind us of the ever-present danger that loomed over a legionary's existence. Each of these discoveries serves as a poignant reminder that the Roman legions were not an abstract military machine, but a collection of individuals who wore out their sandals on long marches, who yearned for news from home, who huddled together in cramped barracks, and who left behind small tokens of their brief presence on the frontiers of empire. The rhythm of their days is not preserved in grand marble statues or towering triumphal arches, but in these quieter, more humble remnants: a child's worn shoe, a soldier's hastily scribbled letter, a tool used for digging fortifications. Though simple, these artifacts carry the weight of lived experience across the centuries, allowing us to connect with the human aspects of life in a Roman legion. As we reflect on these traces of the past, we are confronted with the stark contrast that defines the Roman world. The vast gulf between the weary soldier shivering on a distant frontier and the opulent lives of the elite in Rome, surrounded by wealth and marble splendor. This disparity serves as a reminder of the sacrifices demanded of those who served in the legions. Far from the comforts and glory of the eternal city, the evidence left behind at sites like Vindolanda, Masada, Carnuntum, and Mainz paints a vivid picture of why the average person today would struggle to survive even a single day in a Roman legion. The harsh discipline, physical demands, and constant danger, combined with the lack of modern comforts and medical care, made a legionary's life one of extreme hardship. Yet it was through their endurance and sacrifice that the Roman Empire was built and maintained, leaving an indelible mark on the course of history. While legionaries trudged across muddy roads and shivered in frontier forts, another world unfolded hundreds of miles away. In Rome itself, citizens lived lives of rhythm as well, though of a very different kind. Imagine yourself stepping into the harsh reality of a Roman legion camp. The ground beneath your feet is not marble, but packed earth and gravel. Instead of mosaics glimmering in soft patterns, you see rows of identical tents stretching into the distance. The air carries not the scent of fresh herbs and oils, but the pungent odor of sweat, leather, and smoke from countless campfires. Here, the day begins not with quiet reading, but with the blare of trumpets at dawn. Soldiers rise in unison, their bodies aching from the previous day's march. There is no time for leisurely discussion of politics or philosophy. Instead, centurions bark orders as legionaries rush to don their heavy armor and gather their equipment. By midday, you would not find yourself at a lavish banquet. Instead, you might be digging trenches under the scorching sun, your hands blistered and raw. The meal, when it comes, is simple fare: a porridge of grains, perhaps supplemented with whatever meat or vegetables could be foraged along the march. Wine, if available, is watered down and drunk from crude clay cups. And yet, this world too carried its own rhythm and purpose. Legionaries found pride in their discipline, in the strength of their formations, in the knowledge that they were the backbone of Rome's power. The hardships they endured forged bonds of brotherhood that often lasted a lifetime. The contrast between legion life and civilian existence is stark but revealing. Both soldier and citizen lived within the same empire, bound together though separated by distance and duty. One life was measured in miles marched and battles fought. The other was measured in trade deals, political maneuverings, and the comforts of home. To consider them together is to see Rome not as a single story of military might, but as a complex tapestry of lives, the weary and the privileged, the conquerors and the conquered, all intertwined across a vast empire. The legionary's day was unforgiving in ways that would break most modern individuals. The weight of armor and weapons alone would exhaust many before the first mile was marched. The constant vigilance required, even in supposedly friendly territory, would fray nerves accustomed to peace and safety. Disease was a constant companion in the crowded camps. Sanitation was rudimentary at best, and medical knowledge limited. A minor wound could easily become infected, spelling doom for a soldier far from home. The food, while calorically sufficient, lacked variety and often freshness, leading to nutritional deficiencies over long campaigns. Perhaps most challenging of all was the psychological toll. Homesickness plagued many, with tours of duty lasting years or even decades. The brutality of ancient warfare, fought hand-to-hand with shocking intimacy, left scars both physical and mental. And always, there was the knowledge that one's life could be forfeit at any moment. To an enemy's blade, to accident, or to the whims of a commander. Yet for all these hardships, the legions were the foundation upon which Rome's greatness was built. Their roads still crisscross Europe, their aqueducts still stand as marvels of engineering. The languages they spread evolved into many we speak today. The laws and governmental structures they helped enforce laid the groundwork for much of Western civilization. And so we return from the long march of the legionary, from the muddy camps and blood-soaked battlefields, to the present day. The rhythm of their lives was demanding, often cruel, and yet it shaped a world whose echoes still surround us. As you reflect on these ancient soldiers, perhaps you notice how different their experiences were from your own, and yet how much of our present still rests on the foundations they laid with their sweat and sacrifice. Thank you for sharing this journey into the Roman world. If you found this glimpse into history both sobering and thought-provoking, we invite you to subscribe to FactsHubHQ, where we continue to explore the forgotten stories, triumphs, and struggles that have shaped our world. For now, let the echoes of the past rest quietly in your thoughts, and may the comforts of the present remind you of the long road humanity has traveled.